Hey girl gang, it's Dr. Joy here and you are watching Delivering Joy MD TV. Welcome to Well Woman Wednesday. We've been talking about birth control options, right? So today we're going to continue that talk and we're going to be talking about the vaginal ring. We've got two options in this category, so I'm going to be breaking those down for you. If you're interested, keep watching. All right, ladies, let's talk a little bit about the vaginal ring. The vaginal ring is a birth control option that is a flexible plastic ring that's coated with hormones. This is an estrogen and progesterone containing product. And remember, the last ones that we've talked about so far in this playlist have all been progesterone only. So we talked about the Nexplanon, the IUD, and the Depo shot. So those are all progesterone only. So this is our first birth control that has both estrogen and progesterone. So the vaginal ring comes in two particular brands. You have the Nuvaring, which is good for up to a year. You can use that same vaginal ring for up to a year. And then you also have the Nuvaring, which is good for 1 month. So both of these rings are very similar in their makeup and how they're placed in the vagina. So the vaginal ring is a small flexible ring that you actually pinch and push right up into the vaginal canal, just like you would a tampon. The ring sits in the back of the vagina and it actually emits a small dose of hormone every day that helps protect against pregnancy. Now, we've got two versions of the vaginal ring, one that's pretty new called Nuvaring, and it is a vaginal ring that you leave in for 21 days, take it out for 7 days, you cleanse it, put it back in after that 7-day waiting period. And during that 7 days, you should have a bleed similar to a period. The Nuvaring is the second type, and you wear that as well for 21 days, and you remove it and you have a 7-day bleed that's similar to a period, and then you put in a new Nuvaring. So that one's not recyclable, so to speak. So I'm going to go into detail about each one of the rings, but first I want to let you know that the rings are 99% effective with perfect use. With perfect use, y'all. Like as in, you never mess up. You always put it in when you're supposed to put it in. You always remove it during the time you're supposed to remove it, and you're doing it perfectly every time. So 99% with perfect use. Because life happens, like, sometimes we forget things. We take it out, leave it out too long, or forget to put it back in when we're supposed to, or forget to change it out, whatever. Because life happens, we really pretty much see like a 91% effective rate for this. So in terms of how women use it on average, your pregnancy prevention rate is going to be about 91%. So that means that 9 out of 100 women who are using either of these vaginal rings could potentially become pregnant just because they're not using it exactly right. So let's break down each vaginal ring in detail, just so you can get the details if you're thinking about a vaginal ring and kind of understand both of them and how they're used. So first we'll cover the Nuvaring ring. And this is the ring that's good for up to 1 year. So you're going to wear this, you're going to actually place the vaginal ring in the vagina and you're going to leave it in for 21 days. At the end of that 21-day period, you'll remove the ring by looping a finger into the vaginal canal, catching the ring with your finger and actually pulling it back out. It's a flexible plastic ring, so no biggie there. If you're a tampon user, you should be totally okay with this. Once you have removed it, you're gonna leave it out for 7 days. Now it comes with a special protective case that you put it back in, and you're actually just gonna take it out, cleanse it with mild soap. I highly recommend using whatever soap you use in your vaginal area, and just kind of using some warm water and mild soap, and then drying it off, putting it back in your protective case and letting it store at room temperature. You definitely don't want to leave it by your window with the sunlight, or put it in your car where it's too hot, or even put it in the refrigerator. The Nuvaring does not go into the refrigerator, which can be confusing for some folks, especially if they were prior Nuvaring users, because Nuvaring can go in the refrigerator after it's been sitting out for 4 months. My recommendation is to remove your Nuvaring ring the same day each time. So if you're doing 21 days and you do, and on that third day, so like if you change yours out, for instance, on Sunday, you put it in, 21 days from that Sunday, it should be another Sunday. So take it out, and then you're gonna wait 7 days, and then the following Sunday, you'll replace it. So just remembering to make sure that you're doing it on the day. And I'm linking a really cool link down in the description box. It's the birth control app, and it can help you with whatever birth control you're using to remember when it's time to take it, go pick it up, or put it in, or take it out. So the birth control app is a really neat device from Planned Parenthood that you can use to keep up with your birth control. So important things to know about the Nuvaring is that you cannot leave this ring out for more than 2 hours total over the entire 21-day period. So let's say you took it out, I don't know, maybe you took it out for sex. You really don't need to do that, but if you decided to do it, you could take it out, then it needs to go back in within 2 hours. Or if you take it out for, I don't know, 15 minutes for whatever reason, and then the next week you take it out for an hour, and then the next week you take it out for another 15 minutes, you just have to keep count of how long that ring has been out, because it cannot be out for more than 2 hours over that entire 21-day period that you're supposed to be wearing it. So that's a big thing to keep in mind, because if you have it out for longer than 2 hours, your risk of pregnancy goes up. And you'll certainly need a backup form of birth control, like a condom, which I recommend using condoms anyway, because as we know, birth control does not protect against sexually transmitted infections. It only protects against unplanned pregnancy. Next, let's move on to the Nuvaring. So the Nuvaring is another small, flexible plastic ring that you can place in the vaginal canal, just like a tampon or like the Nuvaring ring. And the Nuvaring is worn for 21 days, or you can wear it for 28 days or even 35 days. Sometimes my ladies who are using Nuvarings are actually wearing them longer, and this can be because you want to skip your menstrual cycle. So if you wear it for 21 days and take it out for 7 days, you will definitely have a bleed during that 7-day period that's similar to a menstrual cycle. But you can also leave it in for 28 days and then take it out and have a menstrual cycle, or you can leave it in for 35 days and just switch it out and put a new one in so that you don't have a cycle at all. And that's perfectly safe to do. The Nuvaring is a really good birth control if you're looking for something that you can control that will help with your cycles, and that also is pretty good at preventing unplanned pregnancy. The Nuvaring is not recyclable. So once you take your Nuvaring out, you want to throw it away unless you're planning on replacing it. So if you took it out for sex, or you took it out to go get your pap smear or something like that, which there is absolutely no need to do to remove your Nuvaring or your Nuvaring ring for either of those reasons. So you can have sex with it, you can get vaginal exams with it. There's no need to take it out unless you're really gonna leave it out for your 7-day waiting period. But let's say you took it out just because you wanted to or whatever, then you would want to replace it within 2 days of having it out. And if you haven't replaced it within that 2-day period, or if you're done with your 21 or 28-day use of that Nuvaring, throw it away. Don't try to recycle it, because it ain't gonna work, girl. Those of us who really don't want to see a period, the Nuvaring is a great choice, because you can wear it for up to 35 days and you can change it once a month and not have a period at all. And that, like I said, it's not dangerous, it's not bad for your health or anything like that. You can just keep that Nuvaring up in there and leave it alone. And you just want to pick a certain day of the month that you change it. So if you know, hey, my mortgage is due or my rent is due on the 1st of the month, then you can also do your Nuvaring change out on the 1st of the month and just wear it until the next month comes around, and then you can remove it and replace it. So with both vaginal rings, as I've mentioned a couple of times already, is there is no need to take it out during sex. So the ring sits all the way in the back of the vagina, y'all. And let's just be honest, most of the dudes that think they're getting back there are not. So with the ring being in place during sex, it's usually not going to be disturbed unless you run up on something, a really big project. Let's just say it like that. So normally it's not going to disturb the ring at all. And so you can leave that ring in very safely during sex. If you just feel grossed out or weird about that and you just have to take it out, know that replacing it within 2 hours is the goal. The Nuvaring gives you a little bit more wiggle room than the Nuvaring ring, but even so, as soon as sex is over, just remember to put it back in. The other thing you want to remember with sex using one of these rings is that you don't want any oil-based or silicone-based lubricants. You want to use a water-based lubricant only, because these substances can interfere with the hormones that are coating the ring and cause you not to be as well protected against unplanned pregnancy. So how does the Nuvaring actually work? The Nuvaring works by emitting these hormones, both estrogen and progesterone, and it actually works locally in the vagina and in the female reproductive system. So it's going to keep you from ovulating, so it suppresses your ovulation. And it also kind of creates a hostile territory for sperm within the vagina. So that's how this is working for you. Like I said, it is estrogen and progesterone. So if you have a medical condition that keeps you from using an estrogen containing birth control, like if you have severe liver disease, if you have had a history of blood clots in your legs or your lungs, what we call DVT or PE, then you don't need to be using an estrogen containing product. If you have a personal history of breast cancer, you want to avoid estrogen containing birth controls. And if you have had a history of heart attack or stroke, or you have those migraines where you get what's called aura, where you kind of see squiggly lines, or you kind of have this issue with your vision prior to having a migraine, and that's how you know the migraine is coming on, you also would want to avoid estrogen containing products. Also, if you have high blood pressure or diabetes and that is not well controlled, so let's say your blood pressure is just off the chain and it has not been controlled well on meds, or your blood sugars are out of control, you may also want to avoid using estrogen containing products until you get those health problems under control as well. So let's look at the pros and cons of the vaginal ring, and they're pretty much the same for both the Anovera and the Nuvaring. The first thing is, if you can get this thing down pat where you're doing it perfectly every time, or perfect use, you have 99% effectiveness against unplanned pregnancy. So perfect use is great. But like I said, most women are using it less than perfectly, and so 91% is the average protection that we're seeing against pregnancy with both rings. Another pro is that if you have heavy, painful cycles, the Nuvaring or the Anovera can really help with that. So it can decrease the amount of blood loss that you have, and it can also decrease cramping. So that's a big win for those who are dealing with that sort of period. And just like some of the other birth controls we've discussed in this series, Nuvaring and Anovera can help decrease ovarian cancer and uterine cancer, and that is really just because they suppress ovulation. So that's very helpful if you're using really any hormonal birth control. You're definitely decreasing your risk of uterine cancer and in some cases of ovarian cancer. Last video, when we talked about Depo-Provera, we talked about how Depo-Provera can cause bone thinning or bone loss. Well, the Nuvaring and Anovera actually prevent bone thinning and bone loss. So that's an added plus, and that really comes from the estrogen component that's in the medication. Another pro, it's very convenient. You just pop it in and you can leave it in for up to a month. So you don't have to remember to take a pill every day. You don't have to try to remember to take things at the same time or change out a patch every week. This gives you a little bit more flexibility. And though you do have to remember when you're supposed to take it out and when you're supposed to put it back in and all of that, it's not as labor intense as, say, taking a pill every day. You have more control over this, so it's completely reversible. Sometimes I'll talk to women who maybe have insurance for a short period of time, and they're like, well, I don't want to get an IUD because I won't be able to come back and get it removed in a few years, or I don't want an Nexplanon because I can't afford to come back and have it removed. So the Nuvaring is a prescription that's sent to your pharmacy, and you're able to kind of do it at your own speed, at your own pace, and you can manage it at home and remove it on your own. And so that may be a pro for some women. Now let's look at the cons. So what are some of the things that aren't so great about the Nuvaring or the Anovera ring? First thing, like I said, it does not protect against sexually transmitted infections. So we need a condom, y'all, each and every time. If you particularly are not in a monogamous relationship, make sure you're using condoms as a backup. Another con is it can cause irregular bleeding, or what we call breakthrough bleeding, which is true of all hormonal birth controls. So it's kind of, in that category. So spotting in between periods, or stopping your periods altogether, or, kind of having irregular bleeding can certainly occur with the vaginal rings, just like any other hormonal birth control. You must remember to change it at the proper time. And if you take it out for some reason, which I highly recommend just not taking it out unless you really have a good reason, then you got to remember to put it back. So remember, it's 2 hours total for the Nuvaring ring and 2 days total over the 21-day cycle for the Nuvaring. The other con is that if you're being treated for other medical issues with medications like antibiotics or antifungals, if you have, toenail fungus or something, so antifungal medications, some antibiotics, and even some seizure medications or HIV medications, can cause the Nuvaring or the Nuvaring ring to be less effective against pregnancy prevention. So you want to definitely talk to your healthcare provider about the fact that you're using Nuvaring or Nuvaring when you're getting ready to start antibiotics, or if you are on HIV PrEP therapy or HIV therapy, or if you have a seizure disorder. So it's really important to talk about those things so that you make sure that you understand what you need to do to take precautions. And of course, if you're using a condom with your Nuvaring, you should be fine. Well, what are some of the side effects? Side effects are always important to know before you put any kind of medication in your body or before you do any sort of procedure. The side effects that are most common with Nuvaring and Nuvaring ring are your headache, nausea, sometimes dizziness, especially when you're just starting the medication, and those things usually will go away within a couple of weeks. Also, we've seen women that have breast tenderness. Their period may be early or late or irregular or not come at all, because the vaginal rings can actually cause you to stop your period, especially if you're wearing them longer than 21 days at a time. The other side effect, which could, I think, be a good thing, is the WAP. So a lot of women experience more vaginal moisture. It doesn't mean you have an infection or that anything's wrong, because this is usually going to be a clear to white discharge with no odor, and you should not have any vaginal irritation or itching or anything like that. But it does cause increased vaginal moisture, which in my opinion is a great thing. But hey, it may not be comfortable for you. I hope you found this video interesting and informative, talking all about vaginal rings. If you did, give your girl a thumbs up. And make sure you drop any questions or comments down in the comment section below. Tell me what you're using. Tell me if you think the ring is better than what you've got, or maybe the ring is something that you're interested in. Let me know about it, girl. And make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss a single Well Woman Wednesday episode. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Peace.